So welcome to this Q&A session on PMS, specifically focused indeed on the release functionality of PMS product user interface, but also if you have questions on application programming interface and in general PMS, you're more than welcome to submit your question. As I was mentioning, today I'm with Dino Sumpasis, our network product owner, and my colleagues Marcos is not available today, so we will be taking any question you may have in this regard. The session will last as usual 1 hour, and as you might have heard, the session is also recorded, and we will make the recording available through the usual EMA YouTube channel, but also on the event page on the website. You might be familiar already by the using Slido. We always rely on Slido tool. This is a tool where you can share your feedback, ask any question, or in general give your input. And it's a way for you to interact with us. It's also voluntary, so you may decide to use it by submitting your name, or you can also decide to opt and remain anonymous. In any case, if you decide to use Slido, please be aware that you are giving your consent to the processing of your personal data, as indeed stated in our EMA data privacy statement for Slido. Before starting, in the meantime, I see already some questions are coming, so thank you for that. Just want to make a bit overview on the upcoming events. We are delighted to announce you that we are going to host dedicated Q&A clinics on PMS every month until the end of the year and probably through 2026 also, but these are the dates that are available. So please make sure if you want to stay in touch with us that you also register to each of these events. You can find the dates, you can find the link, so you have everything ready to register. Next big event, which is upcoming, is the PMS Info Day. This is actually the second time that we are hosting our information day on product management service. We also encourage you to join this event. You don't need to register. It's a live broadcasted event, so you can either access by the event page or just use the EMA YouTube channel. In any case, my suggestion would be to use to click on this event page, and you will be directed also to the EMA YouTube channel. This event will last the full day, so we're going to start at 9 on the 21st of May, and we will continue for the whole day until 5:30, of course, Amsterdam time. Last but not least, since PMS is part of SPOR and we are also very much involved with SPOR activities in XCVMPD, we also plan to have a status updates webinar. If you are familiar, we always host them once every quarter. And these are the next dates that you can find on the 9th of July and also on the 8th of October. So in case you want to register and stay up to date also with such services and also XCVMPD, which is not part of SPOR, you can even register and talk to us and follow the updates. So these are this is the overview of the upcoming events. And now moving to Slido, for those that are familiar, I see that you're already submitting questions, so perfect. But for those who are just maybe starting using Slido or newcomers, you can connect to Slido via using this QRD code. You use a mobile phone and you can enter the hashtag PMS QA1905, which is the date of today. You can send your question. You can also upvote the most relevant question for your case, and we will do our best to answer live. I would recommend you, because I know that usually many people are interested on the same case, just to cross-check if the question has been already submitted, so we can avoid replicating the same answer and we can try to address at our best everything. As I mentioned today, we don't have Marcos, so then usually while one presents, the other one try to address right, so we cannot address in right, so I'll try to do my best with Dino to address orally and verbally any question. Make sure that even vote and submit, but so we can also display the most voted questions on the screen and do our best to reply. Now I'll leave the floor to Vivian, so you can share your screen from Slido, because I see a few questions are already flying. So hopefully we can.
Yeah, they should appear in just a second.
Yes.
Okay, there was quite a few already. Okay, there we go.
The most
Okay,
voted.
so let's start with the next one. Perfect. So first question is, could you please clarify when the separate Annex 3 to Chapter 2 as referenced in the latest version of Section 2.8 is expected to be published?
Yes, colleagues. So as stated indeed in Chapter 2, the new version that we have released in May, a few days ago, we indeed mentioned the creation of Annex number 3. This annex explains the list indeed of the European Medicines Regulatory Agency organizations that have to be entered in the field of 2.8 for the submission of manufacturers' informations. And we have been, this is because we have noticed that few, not all the NCAs in Europe may have more than one lock ID. So in case of multiple lock ID, of course, one of the most received submitted question through ServiceNow was indeed, which lock ID do I need to submit? So we decided to undergo an exercise with our network contact, and we have been creating a very first draft of this list to specify which org ID should be used, and we have we will submit it to our colleagues from the national competent authorities to identify exactly which lock ID users should be using and selecting into PMS. So this document is not yet available because we need to wait the feedback from the colleagues, but it will be released as soon as we have reached a more maturity level of this document. I'll also ask Dino, I don't know if you want to complement, because this is an activity where we both run together. But in the meantime, colleagues, you can select, you can pick any lock ID as long as you can select it. You can submit your manufacturer information. So I don't know, Dino, if you want to complement.
Yeah, thank you. There's only to say that we haven't got response from everybody, so we need to complete this list, and we hope that we will be able to publish the list, the Annex 3 list, and I would say 1 week after the PMS Info Day, so probably the next Wednesday it should be there. Yeah, it's not too much, but we haven't completed it.
Thank you, Dino. That's a brilliant news. Okay.
Okay, perfect. So next question. When is going to be updated? When actually is the PMS FAQ document going to be updated? It would be great to have the latest known issue and solution date up to date. Thank you.
Yes. So, colleagues, we have to prioritize few more release because every release goes to a queue, and we give the priority to the chapter 3, 2, and also I don't remember which other documents. The FAQ, if I'm not mistaken, was published already, but we had to re-update it because of the number of data quality and bugs that we have identified is increasing. So our target date will be end of the month, because after the PMS Info Day, we can have more spare time to focus on these updates. So I would assume that Annex 3 to Chapter 2 and also this PMS FAQ can be updated at the same time almost. Please bear with us. The preparatory activities for the Info Day are taking most of the capacity, so that's why we couldn't prioritize also this one. But thank you for understanding.
Perfect. Next question. In PMS, the presentation and the unit strength of active substance under PHP is missing in most of PMS IDs, even though correct XCV-MPD submission is performed. Please confirm if this is a known issue or should we raise the ticket to get updated in PMS as well?
No, I confirm you that this is a known issue. Of course, because we didn't release the updated PMS FAQ, you don't have visibility of this, but it's a known issue. And actually, a bug was already created because of our process is that we receive tickets, we investigate, and then we create bugs and close the tickets because the bugs goes to our developers teams in PMS, and there is a queue for that. This is a bug that we know. The fact that you have the unit of presentation into XCVMPD, but not in PMS API and therefore also in PUI, it's basically a mapping problem, but is not at the level of the RMS service, is at the level of PMS API. So the teams basically needs to check and investigate why the in PMS API the XCVMPD code for that presentation is taken instead of the RMS ID, which is a wrong behavior, is not correct. That's why it's a bug. So no need to open other tickets. We have plenty of them. The bugs just is already in the queue, so we need to have the team on board and fix it. But thank you for highlighting again.
Perfect. Moving on. The manufacturer GMP certificate is a property of the manufacturer and non-dependent on the context where used. Why is it linked to the medicinal product and not to the manufacturer then? Isn't this a repetition of the same information?
So I need to read it. I don't know if this question is linked to the open point for the maintenance of this activity in PMS. But maybe I'll come back, colleagues, if you don't mind, because I need to read it a bit better. And then I'll reply in bright. I'll also take a notes on my to-do list. Apologies, colleagues. I'll come back to that in bright.
This I would say. Okay, let me just, okay. Okay, so next question is, vendors are saying they can only integrate the technical API end of this year or beginning of the next year for PMS submission. For generic pharma comms, this is too late as we have a lot of submission to be done. Deadline extension possible?
So this question is linked indeed to the release of the PMS API, right? But before there is another step, which is indeed the UAT. I can give you a bit of update because we need to engage with all the volunteers that have been nominated by the industry trade organization to test our right functionalities in PMS API. We plan to engage with them by mid of June and hopefully to start the UAT in July. If everything goes well, we plan to open it in production in September. Now, I am aware that is not only the work that the vendors have to do on their side, in being able to align with our system, but it's also a lot of work that they need to do on industry side to align their system and allow also the system to work and talk to us. The scope of this workshop that we're gonna host is to understand the timelines and who is actually ready. In terms on, so we don't have a full visibility of the level of readiness from their side, but we plan to engage with them. Right after, of course, the PMS Info Day. But then in terms of deadline for extending the submission, I think you're referring to the ULCM, the list of products impacted by the ULCM list, the Union List of Critical Medicines. These timelines is not, at the best of my knowledge, extended. And in any case, it doesn't, it's not the PMS team that decides, it's something that is decided at the level of the ESMP. So I don't have any updates on these deadlines at the moment, but we do understand. Just to maybe Vivian, just a second, to clarify, I have been also brought this aspect to their attentions and upper level. So in case it's needed, if there is, in this week, we're gonna have on the 21st, I mentioned the PMS Info Day. We're gonna use also that opportunity to further specify this need eventually.
Great. So next question. Could you provide draft Excel templates for the planned PMS batch update feature so we can start preparing our data accordingly for enrichment?
I'm not sure what this is referring to. Planned PMS batch update feature. For feature, we at the PMS level we mean the deployments, so the new releases. So I don't know if you're referring to anything like that.
Well, I would say it's referring to the product user interface bulk update feature, but I cannot link it to any Excel sheet.
No, indeed.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe Pierre.
Maybe
if
the
you're with
colleague
us,
could. Yeah, maybe the colleague could provide further clarification in this question.
Yeah, indeed.
Exactly. If you can please submit it again with a little bit more of information so that we can answer. Okay.
Thank you.
So next question. Okay, so we have observed that both the concentration and presentation strengths are updated in PMS PUI in cases of reconstitution when only when only concentration strength is applicable and should be filled, for instance, and they've included a code.
I need to check because I see this part that you attached, and thank you, the PMS ID. I don't know now by heart if it's cap or a non-cap, but the strengths, you can have it at both package level, but also at the manufacturer item level, but also at the level of the pharmaceutical. So depending where you are looking for it, there might be different, it might be coming from different systems. So I'll have a look and I'll take also this question in my notes so I can reply to you, colleague, in bright, because I need to see what's going on with this. And I don't know if you also submitted a ticket in ServiceNow, just in case you can even wait for the reply from the data stewards, but I'll have a look. Thank you.
So next question. Okay, so basically, I would say one unit, of course, of drops have two different packs, so multi-dose versus single-dose package. The multi-dose has one more excipient than the single dose. In PMS, I can see only the inactive, I would say, ingredient list of multi-dose package. Is it possible to see in PMS both lists?
You should be able to see them. Today I noticed a similar ticket, so I wonder if this colleagues is the same that submitted the ticket. It looks very similar. But if you don't see all the excipients or in general all the ingredient composition in your PMS relevant ID, you can try to submit a dummy updates in XVMPD. Even if you have more EV codes, you can try one and see, maybe my suggestion is I always wait 1 day just to make sure the queues go entirely, is processed totally, and see if then you see also the missing excipients. If you don't see that, then I need a ticket because it might be that there is something wrong in the delta between XVMPD and PMS, and I need the dev team to check from the PMS API side. So give it a try. Otherwise, I need a ticket. Thank you.
Okay.
Incident ticket type.
Perfect. Yes. Good to know. So next question about conformance. So referring to 2.6 manufacturing authorization reference became mandatory for medicinal product manufacturing process and or sterilization sites for active substance. Could you please provide the exact corresponding RMS manufacturing activity terms?
Conformance became mandatory for medicinal product manufacturing process, sterilization, signing. Could you please provide the exact corresponding RMS? Well, I don't have RMS open, but I can look for it and give it to you in the from RMS. I can have a look and let me take also these questions. I don't have open right now RMS. Adding this. So far I have 3 questions.
Okay. Moving on to the next. The multi-language records in PMS POI are the only strongly affected by incorrect generation or grouping of the PMS ID. Is missing sync with EV even after submission update to correct the data and harmonize it. Finnish record especially.
So I'm aware of this. I'm afraid the expert here is really Marcos, who is missing today. But I'll make sure also he can give you an answer tomorrow when he's back. I guess Vivian, we're gonna leave it open, right? At least for one day.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
So
exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
taking this one. Apologies, colleagues. We usually split the the questions and the issues based on the topics. So bear with me.
Yeah, we'll try to do as much as possible, and then of course we can answer the remaining ones.
Yeah, I'm keeping notes of the questions.
Exactly. Perfect. Okay, so moving on. The recent update in Chapter 2 has changed the requirement for 2.6 manufacturing authorization reference number. Can you clarify for which RMS manufacturer activity it is now required?
Yeah, it's the same question that I received. I don't remember if it was Stefan, but I'll reply to the same that I need to open RMS because I don't remember by heart, but I'll give you the terms.
Yeah,
And
perfect.
maybe we can evaluate to update even chapter 3 because this is missing.
Okay, so next question is said, from the ART 57 QC team, we receive requests to provide attachment that clarifies the authorization number if it is not included in SMPC. Does this document have to be attached with every revision of the SMPC or only once to clarify request?
Again, article the XMPD business lead is Marcos. As far as I know, you don't need to provide it only when it's requested upon clarifications, because our quality control team, they do when they do the checkings, they usually do based on the SMPC, because they cannot they can only access what is available in your XVMPD record in the database, and if that is not provided or not available in the authorized product information, they can request it to you, in this case to validate. So for the moment is only upon request. You're not obliged to submit it in XVMPD, but if the request for the validation purpose, yes.
Okay, perfect. And I think instead Pierre Stanislavski, I hope that I'm saying it correctly, rephrase his question for me for. So is it planned to have in the PLM portal a POI write MVP bulk update feature for MAHs? This should allow to enrich multiple PMS products using an Excel file. Is it correct? And can you share the Excel template?
Again, so we are planning indeed to release the POI write MVP bulk update, but it's not going to be an Excel file. It's a functionality that if you're registered in PMS POI and you have your role like a qualified user role or regular user role, you will be able to submit in a bulk, let's say, for many products. In case you're a generic company and you have like hundreds products impacted by the ULCM list, in one single submission, all the information for many products. Based on that, and maybe you're referring to that, once you have submitted, again, with this role, you can have access to your dynamic reports, and within the specific section, specific reports called manufacturing business operation, you can filter, or if you don't need to filter because you're interested to see all the data, and export in an Excel file the information. But the bulk updates, you just need to select the products and include the MAH live into the portal. So it's not like you have, if you're familiar with the way we submit, the user submit like in bulk, the information in RMS, when there is a change request, it doesn't work in the same way. It works differently. You have a portal and you select all the products having that specific manufacturer information, and you select for one product and you will apply across all the products that you have, are impacted by the same information. There is also a system demo plan in June. And there was also a system demo that was hosted in May, so maybe I can attach to you also the links to the recorded system demo from March, sorry, not from May, where you can have a look how it works.
Yeah, maybe just to complement. So there's no way by Excel sheet or other means to update the POI in one go for many products. For these purposes, really, you need to unfortunately wait for the right API in order to have here better possibilities. Yeah, but this is, of course, still some time.
Thank you, Dino.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so next question. Referring to the MBO certificate, the certificate number isn't dependent on product or type of operation, but on the manufacturer itself, like with the same granularity of a lock ID. Why should we maintain it at product level then?
I see. So we have currently our PMS SMEs, they indeed raised this topic to us. Unfortunately, we didn't conclude an agreement on that. I am aware that this kind of information is not something that the MAH is responsible to maintain. Is actually not only related to the 2.6, the manufacturer authorization reference number, but is also affecting 2.7 effective dates and 2.8 the authority approving that. So once we will complete the discussion on that, on the maintenance, we will update the chapter 3 related to the submission and how to maintain the data, because we need to go a little bit deeper on this issue. So at the moment we are not able to provide you a firm answer, but just for you to know, this is taken under discussion at the PMS SME level with also the NPO.
Perfect. Next question. In case of MA number at pack size level, so country Italy, PMS ID has one MA number captured out of multiple ones. Is that correct? This should be blank instead.
I don't know if you're referring, so you should be seeing one MAA number at the medicinal product level, and then you should be seeing also the package level, the same information repeated. I don't know if you're referring to which section you're referring to the PMS data model, but if it's not clear, you can even give me submit a ticket with the attached screenshots, because here probably there are confidential information, so it's not the case to attach it. And I can reply and I can ask the data stewards to reply to you. But technically, it should be working in this way.
Okay, perfect. So next question. AMP present the substance OPA-DRI, SVG equals 0, unspecified, plus its components. In XCV MPD, is it appropriate to submit both the term OPA-DRI and its components, or only the components?
Again, this is an XCV-MPD related question. I'll make sure Marcus and Veronica Baker, the two business lead, can reply to that. I do apologize. I'm mostly on PMS, but I'll make sure they can give you an answer, colleagues. Thank you for the passion.
Okay, so moving on. Okay, so please clarify the criteria used for updating the strength in PMS for non-caps when substance undergoes reconstitution, as both concentration strengths are updated in PMS. As per guidelines, the strength resulting from transformation should be primary consideration.
So if you open chapter 7 and you go at the level of the, and now I'm looking for the page, it's the pharmaceutical products, you will see that the ingredient composition for that part is coming from XVMPD, because XVMPD contains this level of information. Now, we have noticed, and indeed you're mentioning non-CAP, so indeed XVMPD and definitely not Cyanide. We noticed that with the data migration from XVMPD to PMS, not always the strength is reported as it should. So sometimes, especially in these cases, when you have, two manufactured items, you undergo the reconstitution and you have a totally different strength composition to be reported, is not exactly the same. So if you notice that you have data quality issues, you can even submit as a ticket and we can have a look. Most likely, to me, because we have been analyzing several cases, the situation will be solved once we will be able to open the enrichment of the product's data in PMS and block the XUMPD data load, because these data are not always one-to-one matching. I know it's unfortunate, but if you maybe can also open a ticket with to my attention, I can have a look to see if and confirm if that's the case.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next question. So EMA service ticket, and that's the reference, of course. So no valid product records migrated for specific country, Slovakia.
No valid product records migrate. I need to open it, so I'll take it because I know there is a queue on service now, and I'll make sure the data quality steward can have a look. We always meet every day, so I'll have a look to this one. Thank you for sharing.
Okay. Next question. So for manufacturer MBO enrichment and PY, not all org ID or lock ID are getting listed when searched under medicines regulatory agency.
Yes, we have scheduled some deployments because actually we wanted to open the full list of all regulators to be displayed in PY. So you bypass, this problem is basically bypassed. This is expected by the end of this sprint, so ideally by the end of this month. So after this meeting, I'll give you the exact date in the call. So you in the Q&A. So you can have also more information on when this is exactly deployed. But we have been working on it. We have been testing, and this is also scheduled for release into production. So hopefully this issue is going to be fixed. It's not an issue. It's just a limitation of the system.
Okay. Right. And Dino was maybe suggesting to take maybe a couple minute break, if that's okay with everyone. Veronica, what do you think?
That's okay. Just a couple of minutes, so we can go ahead with the questions.
Just have some, water and then resume maybe for everyone. Just maybe a minute or two.
Okay.
Well, however you prefer.
We are back at 40.
Yeah, let's do that then.
Okay.
Thank you.
Speak soon. Hello, colleagues. We're back to restart. And first of all, we need to apologize because we have some misunderstanding internally. That's why I was surprised with the break. Apologies. Total misunderstanding, but it's okay. It means that we're live. So I hope you can understand us. So Vivian, can we start then resuming the question? I don't hear you, but I can read.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now
Oh,
yes.
sorry.
Yes,
Okay,
very
yes, sorry.
loud.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Okay, here we are back again. So I did actually talk before, but you probably haven't heard me. Okay, perfect. So about MBO's data, how should these fields be maintained? The information regarding the certification is not related to regulatory operation or activity.
Yes, I don't know if your colleagues you were joining before. We had a duplicate. This is a duplicate question, but no worries, I can repeat it. So we have been informed indeed by our PMS industry SMEs that in of these aspects, there are actually three elements: 2.6 manufacturing authorization reference number, 2.7 effective date, and 2.8. Which is related to the insert of the regulatory authority, the agency that is approving this manufacturing activity operation, that actually do not follow within the remits of any regulatory operation in that activity. We have started discussing, but we didn't reach yet an agreement. So as soon as we have completed the discussion, I hope very soon. We will update and give more information both on chapter 3 but also on the Q&A, because indeed this is a question that is coming through our also ticketing service now. So bear with us. Discussion are ongoing, but for the moment, my suggestion will be that if you have this information and it falls under the activity, the conformance, you can submit it. At least we have in first hand, and then we will give you more information on if and how this should be maintained, because we need to analyze also the impact with other colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you for explaining that again.
No problem.
Perfect. Next question. Just to confirm on Population of Medicines Regulatory Agency, Section 2.8 of Chapter 2. For manufacturers outside EU and EEA, data on MRI needs to be taken for GMP certificates. And for within the EU, EEA, is it from MIA certificate from UDRA GMPDP? Sorry, because this was quite long to read, a lot of acronyms. But hopefully it was clear.
No worries, Vivian. No worries. So we have updated indeed chapter 2, and if you have access to the latest version published on usual our PMS website, we have a bit given a bit more clarity on which are the rules that you should be following. So basically, if you have indeed a manufacturer that is located within the European Economic Area, then you can enter the authorization number that you have in section 1 of your union format of manufacturer's authorization, or eventually from your MIA, the MIA number that you have in EUTR GNDP. And if you have the manufacturing site instead that it's located outside the EAA, you basically can enter the number from the MIA, so the Manufacturing Importation Authorization document. If you don't have this information, you can use the reference number or an equivalent authorization number for this manufacturing. So this is what we have been updated, and I hope it's clear. If not, we can go back to our to the discussion within our SMEs and try to update it at our best. But this was the latest agreement that we got to update chapter 2.
So next question. Okay, this is a sort of an example. So if organization A acquired organization B and the facility operates under organization A with no change to management and processes, and both share the same address and have a different loc and organization ID, clarification is needed on tracking both in PMS database. Should organization B be removed and only organization A tracked?
It sounds very OMS related, but if you have an acquisition, org A and org B, what you do is basically request the merge in OMS, and then what happens is that nothing is removed. Nothing is ever removed from OMS because we need to keep to track the history of the records, and you will just see that's the organization that was created first is the one appearing, but embedded into it, you always have the relevant org ID of the other organization that was created before. So nothing is removed. You have always a track. What you see is just the oldest org ID popping up. Now, when you do the merges, of course, everything that was under the organizations, it got embedded also into the survival. We call survival organization, but at the end is a merge and acquisition. So the logs ID, even if they're different, because of course they might be different, are also embedded and will become linked, associated, we say, to the survival org ID, so the oldest one. So I don't know if you're referring to some issues that we had in PMS when it wasn't reflected correctly the MAH and their org ID and log ID in POI. It depends because if you have a merge, it might be and everything is correctly mapped between in OMS, but also in XCVMPD and our ECTD records. It's correctly propagated to PMS, and usually most often what I notice is that PMS API is correctly behaving, but what is not done, is not correctly behaving, is at the level of PUI, because PUI reads from it takes the data from Iris Dataverse, and sometimes we have also dedicated session with them. We explain that in some cases we need to align all the data, and they do a manual fix. So it depends what the situation is. But I don't know if you have this issue or you have submitted a ticket. Maybe we can have a look. If you submit the EV codes, the org, log ID, and the PMS ID, we can cross-check.
Okay, perfect.
A bit long because it requires.
Perfect. Okay, so next question is, are there any updates on the issue with non-display of product information for some MAHs PLM portal?
Well, it's a broad question, colleague. It depends which products data are not displayed in PUI PLM portal. As I said, we have bugs related to the unit of presentation. You don't see that in RMS. Sometimes we don't see the ATC codes. It depends which one you're referring. What I can tell you and reassure is that for each of them that we have been able to identify so far, we have created bugs, as I was saying at the beginning of these meetings, and the bugs now is they are under the PMS development teams for data fixes. So we have a team, we usually assign to each of them a specific bugs to be fixed. We discuss and then we test it, and then we launch in production the fixes. So it depends, but these are mostly discussed and documented in PMS FAQ. The only ones that are missing are indeed the most recent ones that we figured out and we have created bugs. So we plan to update it, as I said, after the info day by the end of May, so you can have full visibility. And yeah.
Okay, perfect. So next question. The past webinar, it was highlighted a new issue affecting the dynamic export for the strength info data. The significant 0 does not appear in the export. Meanwhile, the data in PUI are having the correct amount. Is there a solution date?
I need to have a look to this one with my PMS development team because I don't recall the date for this data fix. I recall there were some issues on the dynamic exports. So let me take Miriam this question too, if you can just paste it 1 second, okay? And I'll come back with an answer after consulting with the dev team. Please bear with me. UI dev team to consult.
Okay, We've got about 10 minutes left, and maybe in a few minutes we will also launch the feedback survey. But I'll continue with another few questions. Okay, so for structured data submission of MFGs and packs to PMS, the deadline is December 2025. Please, can you share the guide? What exact data fields needs to be submitted and by when? I see a lot of fields in IG 2.3 finalized by the beginning of May 2025.
So I guess for MF, you refer to manufacturers, I hope, data and packs information. So the deadline, the end of December 25, it's indicated for the products that are impacted by the ULCM list, the Union List of Critical Medicines. For that, indeed, those MAHs owning the non-centralized products impacted, they are indeed requested to submit the manufacturer data and pack size within these timelines. All the rest of the portfolio you have and until the end of 26. So the elements, I can attach to you a link to the presentation I think we had on a webinar on the 28th, if I'm not mistaken, 28th of January this year. There was a list of fields indeed that we explained that can be populated and submitted with the timelines. So if you bear with me, I can send it this link, taking notes, so I can do it offline after this meeting. And beginning of May 2025, I think there is a misunderstanding. May 2025 is the recommended date for the MAH of non-CAPs impacted again by the ULCM list to submit the packages in XCVMPD. So you can find the correct PMS ID and package ID in PMS API or POI, depends which one where you're looking for. But then for submitting the data, you need to use POI still. I'll give you everything offline.
Perfect. Thank you. So next question. PMS UI shows incorrect legal status for some products. For Annex 2B SMPC, it must be medicinal products subject to restricted medicinal prescription. Legal status is the same for all packages. Should we use the term in our SMPC or not, as the ticket response deferred?
If you don't mind, because it shouldn't be, it's weird that you see incorrect legal status, but I have already addressed, I think 1 or 2 months ago, a similar issue that I fixed with a dummy update in XVMPD, and then it got propagated correctly. If you don't mind, would you mind, I don't know if they can share the ticket ID as a comment in the Vivian, in their question.
Yeah.
That would be great, so I can have a look at what was responded by our data stewards. But in the legal status is supposed to be the same that you have under your SMPC, and therefore it should be that one. So if it's wrong, yeah, we needs to be corrected. And also I need to see if it's a cap or non-cap, because maybe if it's a cap, it's coming from Siamen. So I need to have a look what's going on.
Should be a cup as it has Annex B, Annex 2B.
I suspect so. So that would be good if I can have the ticket ID.
Yeah. So if you can maybe share that question again, and yes, so we know that it's that info on the ticket. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll make sure I copy paste.
Perfect. Right. So next question. If an orphan designation was withdrawn before product approval, would it still be needed to include this info in PMS? We have several such cases and need help with the same.
That's a new question. I don't know if you submitted ever in ServiceNow, never saw it. No, the answer is no, because in PMS, what we track at the moment is the authorized medicinal products. So you don't need, in preparation of the opening of the full enrichment of PMS, you don't need to enter this information, because when the product will be authorized, it will be authorized without an ODD. So my straight answer would be no.
Okay, So next question.
Well, interesting.
Yes. If the AMP has been created in XC at the package level, but the national ID has not yet been added to the package description, does this affect the data migration from XCV MPD to PMS? Is this a compliance issue if not completed before the 31st of May?
No, as long as you have created your product record in XCV-MPD, a package level, has explained in one of the meetings, I think it was July last year from Marcos hosted. This is a PMS will take this information and creates the relevant record as per PMS data model. Then you can still submit the package in the package description the national ID. You can even do a second later. It's not a problem, but it's important for you to make sure that you can correctly identify the specific package. So my recommendation would be to do it as soon as you can. So you have all your data aligned. And once you open PMS PY or API, I know most of the people prefer the portal, so the product user interface, you can see the relevant information reflected.
Perfect. Okay, so next question. Per EU IGV 2.3, is the MIA number not needed for manufacture of active substance and QC and packaging site for medicinal products and active substance? Also, which site types require it?
I need to come back to this one because so I don't really have an answer now, but let me come back and I'll raise it at our PMS SME level so we can have a clarification on this aspect. Let me just copy paste the question.
Okay, perfect. Maybe I'm just gonna go pause a second to say that we want to launch the survey. So I'm just gonna go exactly just for it. So exactly, we're gonna launch it now. So please make sure to give us your feedback on this session, which is always super useful to, of course, improve the next ones that we have planned for the year. Okay, so moving on. How are EMA-initiated changes for active substances in XEV MPD reflected in PMS and eventually in PS UR repository?
So this question is XVMPD related. So I'll make sure our colleagues from XVMPD, Marcos and Veronica Baker, can address it. But what I know is that when the change is submitted in XVMPD, the PMS API takes this information one-to-one match. So at the same time you make an update, this is always taken in PMS API. But I feel that you might need a bit more details on this, so I'll make sure my colleagues can have this. And if Vivian, we can keep it open maybe 1 or 2 days, even more possibly, because we have a PMS Info Day. We can have the chance, to keep this up to date and inform our stakeholders.
Absolutely, we'll keep it open. Okay, perfect. So moving on to next couple of questions, and I think will be time to close the session. So following the recent Chapter 3 update, it seems that now the enrichment process for the manufacturer states in the AF for DMP and API also should be extended for contract company used for all clinical trials stated in the AF. Is this so?
So, as you know, when we open the submission of structured data in PMS, we open for the submission of manufacturer business operation. So one of the scope of this is not only for being reused by the ESMP, but also to be aligned with the electronic application form, because this can be part of your regulatory activity. If you have a variation, you can change the manufacturer activity, then it falls under the regulatory activities. Now, if you open the RMS list, there is an additional term which is indeed referring to the bioequivalence contract research organization, so-called CRO. And you can even submit this data because this can be indeed part of the electronic application form. Just to give you an update, this information are useful in particular from our group, and they can be reused, of course, across the network, but they're particularly useful for in case of referral procedure, to allow the EMA to promptly contact and identify the MAH in case of referral procedures. So this is why we decided to specify a bit clear in the guidance why these are needed, and that also that information can be provided. So the answer is yes.
Okay, perfect. I think we've got 1 minute left for one answer. Then, of course, as said before, this will remain open and we will address all remaining questions. Could you confirm for which operations list it is mandatory to provide the reference number of the drug API manufacturer?
So yeah, I feel this is missing after the introduction of the condition at the level of the conformance of the manufacturer authorization reference number. So what I will do, I will come back on this because we have received different questions on this aspect, and try to discuss with the SMEs and also the if we can come up with a specific list of RMS terms that can facilitate the industry data submission. So I'll make sure this is tracked. By the way, I don't think we can provide an immediate answer to these questions, but the next step can be definitely to clarify the PMS FAQ and chapter 2 and 3 eventually for this specific aspect.
Okay, perfect. Well, I think that's all the time that we had for today. But as mentioned before by Veronica, we have, of course, a session each month. So please, if you have any other questions, please join. We'll address any remaining questions. Thank you so much to Veronica, of course, and Dino as well. So for today's session, and please, yes, continue voting, of course. So I think, yes, perfect. So ready answering the questions. Yes. And I would say that's all for today. And we have our next session in June, on the 20th of June, if I'm not mistaken, just going by memory.
June.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much. I'll leave the word to Veronica, of course, to close the session.
Oh, thank you, colleagues. As I said to Vivian, we're going to keep this Slido open so you can see the answers. For the moment, I tracked 11 questions to be spread across the different teams. So please bear with us. We will reply within the week. If Vivian, you keep it open until Friday at least. So we have more time. Okay.
Perfect.
I wish you a good afternoon and thank you for staying with us. Bye, colleagues.